The Merit Network is a nonprofit organization that serves the internet and computer network needs of educational, government, health, and nonprofit organizations in the state of Michigan. Though Merit offers a wide range of services, they have established themselves over their 50 years of existence as a leader in the connectivity of regional research and educational networks. RADB is the Internet Routing Registry (IRR) service run by the Merit Network and serves the both Merit organizational members and non-members alike. Organizations that use RADB rely on it to register or update their root objects and to view the massive database of root objects in order to troubleshoot and solve the routing problems they encounter. Our team has been brought in to assess the redesign and figure out what aspects work for users, what do not, and what features of the redesign would they like to see implemented on yet to be changed pages. Due to time constraints and the lack of accessibility of RADB website, we target to first-time user for the RADB website who have a high level of comfort with technology. Finding and recommendations in this videos are drawn from the results of several research methodologies. First, we made an interaction map of the most important actions users can take on the RADB website, which helped us understand the platform's core functions. Next, in comparative analysis, we looked at 4 comparators to see how they implemented features compared to RADB website. We used Nielsen's criteria to evaluate the site and identify its strengths and weaknesses in its design. Then, we conducted 4 exploratory interviews and 4 usability tests with target users to understand what they liked and disliked about the technical support and FAQ sections on the RADB website. Finally, we conducted a survey with 27 respondents, which answered questions about their behavior and preferences of using the RADB website. Now, let me walk you through our 4 key findings and recommendations. The first key finding is that users want the website organization to allow them to read as little as possible but still find the answers they need. The interview and survey suggested that when dealing with technical subjects, many users prefer documentation and forum posts that allow them to scan to find the answers they are looking for, as opposed to other mediums like videos. This sentiment came through during the usability tests as 2 users in particular immediately began looking for a search function on the website to find answers that were buried in the documentation pages. Another user, who did not try and look for a search function, was instead led astray when they began looking through documentation pages that were not going to solve the task. This is because the user saw a keyword she thought was relevant to her problem, even though the page did not have the correct information. Our recommendation for this issue is to implement a search function and organize the left-hand menu with subheadings. The documentation and support pages are actually quite robust on the RADB website. When factoring in the FAQ section as well, there are a lot of possible places a user might go to find an answer to their problem or question. A basic search function would alleviate a lot of pressure on a user to know exactly where their answer is, as they could quickly get results as long as they know a keyword they need to look for. Secondly, as it stands, only the main page headings are displayed on the left-hand menu of the documentation pages. Some of these headings do not directly correspond with the heading on the page they link to, and some pages contain a lot more information than what can be conveyed in a short menu heading. By adding subheadings for pages that contain a lot of content, users could not only know exactly where the information they need is by simply browsing the left-hand menu bar, but could also be linked directly to the spot on the page where that information exists. Our finding too is that users who are new to a system need an introduction. While the RADB site may be designed with experienced network professionals as their target audience, having a website that is accommodating to novices and those trying to learn more is still vital to a successful site. 2 of the 4 participants in the usability test explicitly mentioned they would like to have access to either a general overview page to the website or something that would briefly introduce what each page was in the context of the overall system. For example, one user, who was fond of the idea of a search bar, tried to use the query bar as a search bar multiple times even after it had failed them on previous tasks. Our recommendation is providing overview sections on each page that gives context for what the content is for and why it is important. It will help the usability of the site in 2 ways. 1. It will make scanning the website easier for users looking for specific information. 2. It will make the website more accessible to users who are looking to learn more about RADB and IRRs. In general, these overviews do not need to be very long at all, but should explain what the page is for or what information is on the page. These overviews should also give context to the information on the page as to how it relates to RADB as a whole. Our finding 3 is that people enjoy applicable examples that help them better understand their issues. A large takeaway from our interviews was just how much people relied on forums and online communities like Stack Overflow to help them solve their issues. Not only do people find that these are helpful resources to find answers to an issue they are facing, but they also get a lot out of the format the problems are solved in. Usually code that has problems is presented by a user, and then community members will work together to solve those problems. The best examples are those in which members will present their suggestions for how to fix the code, the concepts behind why they are doing so, and what the code should look like when it is fixed. Users who rely on these examples benefit in multiple ways. They learn how to fix their own code. They learn about new concepts and troubleshooting, and being able to see the process of fixing the code from beginning to end has a more lasting impact on their ability to program than if they had been presented with proper code and no explanation. Our recommendation 3 is to present FAQs in a way that walks a user through the problem easier. Inspired by the idea of forum posts, we recommend that the RADB presents common issues in a way that shows other users what these problems look like. These could simply be examples from the command line or from the query function, and would first present what a common user problem looks. Next, the site would describe the problem in words and why it is causing the problem easier. These explanations would include concepts for what is going wrong and the common ways to fix it. Next, provide examples of what a proper command line or query function should look like along with the explanation for why it should be like this. Our last finding is that if users click on a wrong link, it is impossible to know what page users are on except for title page. There is no way to go back other than the browser back button. Our recommendation is indicating the path for how users ended up on a page if there is a hierarchy. Examples of such navigation include the documentation path from Google Drive, as you can see on the figure. A major shortcoming of the project was the limited knowledge of the RADB and IRRs of the participants. We originally had planned an interview script that was designed for IRR users and network professionals, but due to time constraints, the scope and research objectives of the project had to be changed quite drastically in a short period of time. The original plan was to get a sense of how user of an IRR used the system easier. Then we would conduct an exploratory usability test in which we could learn from what the user said and did to draw conclusions about what was working well for them and what was not. When it was clear we would not have time to get in contact with the right user, the focus had to be changed to simply trying to find out if the documentation and support pages worked well in the terms of best practices. This scope was far narrower than what we as a group had hoped to explore. Time constraints led to another major issue for our usability test. Ideally, we would have conducted 1 or 2 demo usability tests prior to conducting any that would be used in the study. However, with limited time, we moved forward with real usability tests and interviews as soon as we could. These were conducted over the course of 3 days, and while we were able to make some changes to the interview protocol in that time, we did not want to make anything other than minor changes to the usability test in order to keep the data we would analyze consistent. If time permitted, we would have altered the usability test to make more clear the context in which the tasks would be completed, the general pages of the site that could accomplish the tasks, and exactly what success would look like. As it stands, the RADB website's documentation and support pages are quite useful and offer quite a bit of relevant information. Due to the quantity of content, however, we believe that steps could be taken to increase usability, especially for novice users. These steps would be to firstly, implement a search function and organize the left-hand menu with subheadings. Secondly, overview sections on each page that gives context for what the content is for and why it is important. Finally, present FAQs in a way that walks a user through the problem easier. These recommendations could then be further tested to make sure usability is not negatively affected for current RADB users. We believe that the implementation of these items will make the site more accessible for a wider range of audiences than the site is currently designed for.